The average price of 1 acre of land in the United States is $18,000. In New Jersey, that same acre costs over $15,000. In Rhode Island, the most expensive state in the country for land, it costs closer to $90,000. In Hawaii, you are looking at well over $100,000 per acre just to put your feet on the ground. And then there is New Mexico, where USDA data shows the average farmland value at just $725 per acre in 2025. The lowest average of any state in the entire country, not $725,000. $725. The range between the cheapest and most expensive land in America is so wide that they barely exist in the same economic reality. And in 2026, with housing costs still at historic highs and more Americans than ever looking for an exit from the rental economy, knowing exactly where the cheapest land is and what the real catches are is some of the most actionable information we can give you. Today, we are going inside 10 of the most affordable places to buy land in America right now, based on real USDA data, active listing prices, and the honest catches that most land buying guides leave out. Because cheap land, like free land, is real, but cheap is never quite as simple as the price tag suggests. Let us start at the bottom of the national price chart. New Mexico is the cheapest state in America to buy land, and it is not particularly close. According to the United States Department of Agriculture National Agricultural Statistics Service Land Values Summary, released in August of 2025, the average farm real estate value in New Mexico is $725 per acre. The national average is $4,350. New Mexico is not just cheap, it is 6 times cheaper than the national average. The cheapest specific counties in the state are in the Northeast and East, Harding County and Union County, where bulk purchases of 40 acres or more have documented sale prices as low as $600 to $900 per acre. In Catron County, in the western part of the state, large tracts of 140 acres have been listed in the $89,000 to $100,000 range, which works out to roughly $630 to $700 per acre. New Mexico's land is extraordinarily diverse. The southwestern part of the state, around Deming and Luna County, is Chihuahuan Desert, flat, dry, stunning in its own way, with huge open skies and the Florida mountains in the distance. The northwest, around the Gila National Forest and the Mogollon Mountains, is mountainous, forested, and home to one of the largest wilderness areas in the American Southwest. The northeast, in the high plains near Clayton and Raton, is rolling grassland ranching country. The catch for New Mexico land, and it is a significant one, is water. New Mexico is an arid state. Depending on the county and the specific parcel, water rights may or may not come with the land. In some areas, drilling a well is possible but expensive, running anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000 depending on depth. In other places, water must be hauled in. Before you buy a single acre of New Mexico land, the first question you should ask is not what it costs. It is where the water will come from. Road access is the second catch. The cheapest parcels in remote counties often sit at the end of unpaved roads that may or may not be maintained. Some require crossing private land to reach them. Confirming legal access, such as a recorded easement or direct public road frontage, is essential before any purchase. For buyers who understand the water and access questions, and who are comfortable with the desert Southwest, New Mexico represents genuine value that is difficult to find anywhere else in the continental United States. The land is cheap because it is dry and remote, not because there is anything wrong with it. Wyoming is the second cheapest state for farmland in the country, with USDA data showing average farm real estate values around $1,000 per acre. It is the only other state besides New Mexico where the average sits under $1,000 per acre for agricultural land. But Wyoming has something New Mexico does not. It has no state income tax and some of the lowest property tax rates in the entire country. Owning land in Wyoming is not just cheap to buy, it is cheap to hold, year after year. The cheapest specific areas in Wyoming are in the eastern and southeastern parts of the state: Niobrara County, Goshen County, Platte County, and Sweetwater County. In Niobrara County, which consistently ranks as the most affordable county in the state for land prices, active listings have shown parcels in the range of $2,000 to $2,500 per acre. Sweetwater County in the Red Desert region has seen larger parcels listed for as little as $300 to $500 per acre for truly remote, high desert property. Wyoming land is primarily ranch and grazing land. The landscape across most of the cheap counties is high plains and sagebrush steppe, beautiful in a stark, enormous way. It is ideal for hunting pronghorn antelope and mule deer, and for anyone who genuinely wants to own a piece of the American West at a price that feels almost historical. The catches are real. Wyoming winters are serious. The eastern plains of Wyoming can see wind chills that drop to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Road maintenance on rural properties can be significant. Niobrara County, the cheapest county in the state, has a median days on market of 216 days, meaning land here takes over 7 months to sell on average. That is not necessarily a bad thing if you are buying, but it tells you that this is a thin market with limited buyers, which matters if you ever need to sell. For buyers who want maximum land for minimum money in a no income tax state with extraordinary open space and wildlife, Wyoming is one of the most compelling value propositions in the American land market. Montana has become one of the most talked about states in America over the past 5 years. The Yellowstone television series, the influx of wealthy buyers into the Bozeman and Missoula corridors, and the remote work migration have all driven Montana's profile and its prices up. And yet, the USDA data still shows Montana's average farm real estate value at around $1,280 per acre. This means that away from the Bozeman, Big Sky, and Missoula Triangle, there is still genuine, documented, affordable land in Montana. The cheap counties in Montana are in the eastern part of the state, in a region called the Montana HI Line that runs along the Canadian border. They are also in the southeastern corner near Miles City and Glendive. These are agricultural counties, wheat farming and cattle ranching country, with big skies and distances that are measured in hours of driving rather than minutes. In Phillips County, Valley County, and Daniels County in the northeast, land has been documented selling in the range of $400 to $800 per acre for raw grazing land. These are genuine prices. They are cheap because they are genuinely remote. The nearest commercial airport from much of this region is a 3 or 4 hour drive. The catch for Montana, which does not apply to New Mexico or Wyoming, is how fast prices are changing near desirable areas. The Bozeman median home price has more than doubled in the past decade. Missoula is not far behind, and that pressure is slowly radiating outward. The cheap eastern Montana land of today may not be the cheap eastern Montana land of 10 years from now. But eastern Montana is genuinely extraordinary for hunting, particularly for pronghorn, mule deer, white-tailed deer, upland birds, and waterfowl. For buyers who want to own land in one of the most scenically dramatic states in the country and who are willing to go east rather than west within the state, the prices are still remarkable. Nevada's average farm real estate value sits at around $1,230 per acre according to USDA data, making it one of the cheapest states in the country alongside Montana. The cheapest specific areas in Nevada are in the south central and eastern parts of the state, Esmeralda County, Lincoln County, and Nye County, where documented bulk purchases of 200 acres or more have been priced as low as $700 per acre. These counties are among the most remote areas in the continental United States. Esmeralda County has fewer than 800 residents across 3,500 square miles. That is roughly one person for every 4 square miles. Nevada land in these areas is high desert. Elevations range from 4,000 to 6,000 feet. Sagebrush, juniper, and pinon pine appear at higher elevations. Extraordinary dark skies. Total silence. And near zero light pollution, which is increasingly rare and increasingly valued. Nevada also has no state income tax, no inheritance tax, and property taxes that run among the lowest effective rates in the western United States. The catches are the same as New Mexico and Wyoming, with one addition. Nevada is the driest state in the country. Average annual rainfall in the cheap southern counties runs under 5 inches. Water is not just a question, it is the question. Some parcels have access to adjudicated water rights. Many do not. In Nevada, water rights are governed by prior appropriation law, which means the person who claimed the water first has the right to it. If the water rights have already been allocated to someone else, you own dry land. Full stop. For buyers who specifically want the most remote, most affordable, largest parcels available in America with a no-income tax state overlay, Esmeralda and Lincoln counties in Nevada represent some of the most extreme value in the country. Confirm the water situation before anything else. Mississippi is the cheapest land in the American South. It is not close within the region. USDA data shows Mississippi's average farm real estate value is around $3,490 per acre. That sounds higher than the western states we have covered, but within the context of the South, it is the lowest by a meaningful margin. Arkansas is around $3,720 per acre. Louisiana around $3,580 per acre, and Alabama around $3,850 per acre. Within Mississippi, the cheapest areas are the cut-over timberland in the south central and southwestern parts of the state, the counties along the Mississippi River, and the piney woods, where raw timberland has been documented selling in the range of $1,500 to $2,500 per acre. Mississippi land is green, lush, and wet in a way that the western states simply are not. The climate is humid subtropical. Annual rainfall averages 50 to 60 inches. The soil is often fertile, and the hunting for white-tailed deer, wild turkey, waterfowl, and wild hog is world-class. The catches for Mississippi are infrastructure and economic context. The state consistently ranks near the bottom nationally for income, education outcomes, and economic development. The cheapest counties are often the most economically distressed. Healthcare access in rural Mississippi can be limited. Schools in many rural districts have faced chronic underfunding. These are real limitations for anyone who wants to live on the land, not just own it. For buyers who want to own timber and recreational land in the South at prices that beat every comparable region in the country, Mississippi is extraordinary value. For buyers who want to build a home and live there, the economic infrastructure of the specific county matters as much as the land price. Arkansas sits just above Mississippi in the regional affordability ranking, with average farm real estate values around $3,720 per acre. But Arkansas has something Mississippi does not. Geographic variety changes the character of the land completely depending on which part of the state you are in. The Ozark Mountains in the north and the Ouachita Mountains in the west provide dramatic, forested, river-crossed terrain that is unlike anything else in the south. In Marion County and Newton County in the Ozarks, rural land has been documented selling for as low as $1,000 to $2,000 per acre for wooded hillside parcels, far below even the state average. Arkansas has no inheritance tax. relatively low property taxes, and an increasingly strong remote work-friendly reputation driven in part by the explosive growth of the Northwest Arkansas corridor around Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers, and Springdale. That corridor has Walmart's global headquarters, Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, one of the most developed mountain biking trail networks in the country, and a food and culture scene that has genuinely surprised people who had not visited in 20 years. The cheap land in the Ozarks is genuinely beautiful. The Buffalo National River, the first national river protected in the United States, runs through Newton County. The terrain is rugged, the springs are clear, and the landscape has a wildness that the flat agricultural counties of the Mississippi Delta simply cannot match. The catches are access and terrain. Ozark hillside land often means steep slopes, limited flat buildable area, and unpaved road access that becomes difficult in wet weather. Cell service and broadband in the most rural parts of the Ozarks are improving, but still inconsistent. While Northwest Arkansas is booming, the rural counties of the Arkansas Ozarks remain economically challenged. For buyers who want affordable, forested, river access land in a state with no inheritance tax, genuine outdoor recreation, and a surprisingly dynamic metropolitan area within driving distance, Arkansas delivers more per dollar than almost any state in the South. The Michigan Upper Peninsula is the land-buying secret that Midwesterners know about, and the rest of the country has largely missed. The Upper Peninsula, which locals simply call the UP, is a separate landmass connected to the rest of Michigan by the Mackinac Bridge. It is bounded on three sides by Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and Lake Huron. It has about 300,000 residents spread across 16,000 square miles. The population density is lower than Montana's. Land prices in the UP range from roughly $1,500 to $3,000 per acre for wooded parcels in the remote interior counties: Ontonagon, Baraga, Schoolcraft, and Luce, based on current listing data. These are some of the most affordable forested lake state properties in the country. What makes the UP different from every other place on this list is water. Not the lack of it, but the abundance of it. The Upper Peninsula has over 4,000 inland lakes, thousands of miles of rivers and streams, and direct frontage on 3 of the 5 Great Lakes. In a country where water access is becoming increasingly scarce and increasingly valuable, owning land in a region with essentially unlimited fresh water is a genuine and underappreciated long-term advantage. The hunting and fishing in the Upper Peninsula are exceptional by any measure. Wolves, black bears, moose, white-tailed deer, ruffed grouse, woodcock, brook trout, lake trout, walleye. It is as close to wild country as the eastern United States gets. The catch is winter. The Upper Peninsula receives more snow than almost anywhere else in the continental United States outside of the mountain states. Marquette County averages over 140 inches of snow a year. The Keweenaw Peninsula averages over 200 inches. This is not a place that tolerates casual winter planning. Roads need plowing. Pipes need insulation. Heating costs are real. The season from November through April requires a different kind of relationship with the landscape than summer visitors experience. For buyers who want affordable forested land with extraordinary water access, world-class hunting and fishing, and the genuine wildness of a place that has not been discovered and priced out, the Michigan Upper Peninsula is one of the best land-buying opportunities in America right now. Maine is the land-buying surprise of the northeastern United States. Most people hear the Northeast and assume it is expensive, but Maine challenges that assumption, especially in its northern counties. Aroostook County covers the northern quarter of the state and is larger than Connecticut and Rhode Island combined. Land prices there have been documented as low as $500 to $1,000 per acre for remote wooded parcels, making some properties surprisingly affordable. Piscataquis County and Somerset County cover the vast North Woods in the interior of the state. They show similar pricing for truly remote parcels. Maine's Northwoods is a working landscape, with active timber harvesting, paper production, and forest management. Those activities have kept large tracts of land in a relatively natural state even as real estate prices have risen along the coast. The farther you go from the coast and from the southern Maine cities of Portland and Bangor, the more affordable the land becomes. Maine has several advantages that the western cheap land states do not. Water is abundant. Rainfall averages 35 to 50 inches per year. Wells are reliable. The soil in many areas is actually buildable. Maine is within driving distance of major northeastern population centers. Boston is about 3 hours from the southern border. That proximity creates both demand near the coast and a pressure valve effect that keeps the remote interior genuinely affordable. Maine also has no sales tax on food and prescription drugs, relatively low property taxes in rural counties, and a growing reputation as a remote work destination driven by its quality of life, natural beauty, and the efforts of towns and the state government to attract new residents. The catch for northern Maine is the same as the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. Winter is real and long. In the most remote areas of Aroostook and Piscataquis counties, you are genuinely far from services. The nearest hospital from some parts of Aroostook County is a significant drive. Internet connectivity has improved dramatically in recent years, but it is still inconsistent in the most remote parcels. For buyers who want affordable forested land in the Northeast within eventual driving distance of major cities but genuinely wild in character, northern Maine offers something that barely exists anywhere else east of the Mississippi. The Missouri Ozarks occupy the southern third of the state, a plateau of wooded hills, limestone bluffs, clear rivers, springs, and caves that runs from the Arkansas border north to the Missouri River. It is one of the most geologically interesting and ecologically rich landscapes in the American interior. In the most rural counties of the Missouri Ozarks, Shannon County, Oregon County, and Ripley County in the Deep South, raw wooded land has been documented selling in the range of $1,000 to $2,000 per acre. Marginal land on steep hillsides with limited road access can sell for less. What distinguishes Missouri from every other state on this list is the combination of water access and a relatively mild climate. The Current River, the Jacks Fork, and the 11 Point are among the clearest spring-fed rivers in the country. The springs that feed them maintain a constant temperature of around 58 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Fishing, floating, and swimming are serious local traditions. Missouri also has more caves than any other state, which adds a geological character to the landscape that is completely unique. Missouri also sits at the geographic center of the country. The drive from the Ozarks to St. Louis, Kansas City, Memphis, or Nashville is manageable in a few hours. For remote workers who occasionally need to access a major airport, Missouri's central position is a genuine, practical advantage. The catches for the Missouri Ozarks are terrain and services. The hills are steep. Flat, buildable land is a premium. Many properties sit at the end of unpaved roads, and they often require a vehicle with clearance. The same economic patterns that make the land cheap, including rural depopulation and limited industry, mean that the school districts and healthcare systems in the cheapest counties are under-resourced. For buyers who want the beauty of the Ozarks, water access on legendary float streams, and land prices that still make genuine sense in 2026, the Missouri Ozarks deliver in a way that few other places on this list can match for pure livability per dollar. Our final location is the one that surprises people the most. Colorado has a reputation for expensive everything. Aspen, Vail, Denver, Boulder, the ski towns, the mountain towns, the Front Range sprawl, and then there is Costilla County. Costilla County sits in southern Colorado, along the New Mexico border, in the San Luis Valley. the highest and largest alpine valley in North America. The valley floor sits at around 7,500 feet elevation. The Sangre de Cristo Mountains rise to over 14,000 feet on the eastern edge. The views are staggering, and the land is cheap, dramatically cheap by Colorado standards. Raw land in Costilla County, in subdivisions like Forbes Park and Sangre de Cristo ranches that were laid out in the 1960s and 70s, can be found for as little as $3,000 to $5,000 per acre. Some smaller parcels list for even less. The San Luis Valley is the oldest permanent European-American settlement area in Colorado, with Hispanic communities dating back 300 years. The town of San Luis is the oldest continuously inhabited town in Colorado. The cultural richness of the region is entirely unlike the ski resort Colorado that most of the country imagines. The catches for Costilla County are significant and worth understanding clearly. The elevation means a short growing season, typically under 90 days. Winters are cold and long. The San Luis Valley sits in a high desert basin that receives less than 8 inches of precipitation per year on the valley floor. Water rights are tightly controlled and are often separate from land ownership. In many of the old subdivided lots, there are no utilities, no water, no sewer, no power at the property. Bringing utilities to a remote Costilla County parcel can cost $30,000 to $100,000 depending on location and distance from infrastructure. Access to some of the cheapest lots in the old Forbes Park and Sangre de Cristo Ranches subdivisions involves unpaved roads that can become impassable in winter or after rain. But if you are willing to do the work, confirm water rights, budget for utilities, and understand the access situation, Costilla County offers something genuinely rare. Affordable land in a state most people have completely written off as too expensive, with mountain views that in any other Colorado county would cost 50 times more per acre. 10 places, 10 genuinely affordable. Land opportunities in America in 2026. And 10 honest assessments of why the land is cheap, because cheap land always has a reason. New Mexico and Wyoming, cheapest in the country, under $1,000 per acre, but water access is the defining question before anything else. Montana, $1,200 per acre on average, extraordinary for hunting and open space, still affordable in the east even as the west gets discovered. Nevada, remote high desert with some of the lowest prices in the west, no state income tax, but it is the driest state in the country and water rights are everything. Mississippi and Arkansas, the affordable South, green and wet unlike the western states, with genuine outdoor recreation and prices well below national averages, but economic infrastructure varies dramatically by county. Michigan's Upper Peninsula, forested, water-rich, and genuinely wild, with prices under $2,000 per acre in the most remote counties, and some of the best hunting and fishing in the eastern United States. Maine, wooded land in the northeast from $500 per acre in the most remote northern counties, within eventual driving range of major cities, with abundant water and a growing remote work culture. Missouri Ozarks, clear spring rivers, limestone bluffs, a central location, and land prices from $1,000 to $2,000 per acre in the deepest rural counties, with a livability the western desert states simply cannot match. Costilla County, Colorado. The surprise entry. Mountain views in a forgotten corner of an expensive state, $3,000 to $5,000 per acre if you are willing to solve the utility and water questions. The American land market in 2026 is not what it was 5 years ago. Prices have risen in every state. The most obvious cheap land has been found, but the data is clear. The fundamental affordability gap between these 10 places and the rest of the country is still enormous. And the buyers who understand that gap and move on it before it closes are the ones who will look back in 10 years and wonder why everyone else waited so long. If you want us to go deep on any specific location, what to look for when buying, what the communities are actually like, what the real total cost of ownership is after utilities and access, tell us in the comments and we will build that video. Subscribe if you want to keep going. New episodes every single week. See you in the next one.